When a young boy nervously took the Family Feud stage, his innocent answer left not just the audience gasping, but Steve Harvey himself utterly speechless. What was the unexpected revelation that transformed a simple game into a heartwarming moment of unfiltered truth? The small studio in Los Angeles buzzed with excitement as families gathered to support their contestants, but little did they know, this boy, Eli, would deliver an answer that echoed far beyond the game. Eli, with his oversized glasses and tousled hair, was just 10 years old. He had always watched Family Feud with his family, laughing at Steve Harvey's jokes and rooting for the contestants. Today, he stood on that stage, gripping the microphone tightly. His nerves were evident. The bright lights seemed to magnify his shyness. In the front row, his mother, Rosa, beamed with pride, trying to suppress her own anxiety as she cheered him on. His older brother, Marcus, nudged him encouragingly, whispering, "You got this, buddy, just be yourself." The game was competitive, filled with lively banter and sibling rivalry as answers were fired back and forth. Suddenly, it was Eli's turn to shine during the face-off round. The prompt was straightforward: name something that makes you happy. The other contestant confidently answered, "Money," and the crowd roared. Eli's turn was next, and he felt the weight of the moment. His mind raced, but he couldn't help but think about his family. In a small voice, he blurted out, "My family." The studio went silent. For a brief moment, the energy shifted from competitive tension to a warm, collective surprise. Steve Harvey's eyes widened, momentarily speechless. Then laughter erupted, but it wasn't mocking. It was genuine. Eli's answer struck a chord deep within the audience, resonating with a truth that many adults often overlooked. This heartfelt declaration transformed a simple game into something profoundly beautiful. As the applause faded, Eli's small shoulders relaxed a little, but he was still unaware of the impact his words had just made. Steve, regaining his composure, knelt down to Eli's level and smiled warmly. "You know what, little man? That's the best answer I have ever heard. Family is everything. You should be proud." Eli's face lit up with joy, feeling the weight of Steve's validation. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your comment, and there's something very important. Click the hype button. This helps a lot to deliver this content to more people. It's quick, but it makes all the difference. With newfound confidence, Eli continued to play, but now with a renewed sense of purpose. The other family congratulated him on his answer, and suddenly the animosity of competition faded. Eli realized that family wasn't just a word, it was love, support, and everything he held dear. As the game progressed, though tensions rose and scores tightened, Eli began to understand the importance of enjoying the moment, rather than obsessing over victory. He laughed more readily, his voice growing bolder with every interaction. His family cheered him on, but it was that initial moment of honesty that kept him anchored. For him, being on stage was no longer about winning the grand prize. It was about sharing a piece of his heart with the world. However, as the final round approached, the pressure mounted. The stakes were high, and the scoreboard was nearly even. It wouldn't be easy to maintain the beautiful vibe he had created. The audience urged him on with encouragement, but there was a nagging worry in Eli's mind. What if he let them down? What if his next answer wasn't as perfect as the first? As he pondered these thoughts, he noticed Rosa and Marcus whispering to each other in the crowd, their supportive smiles acting as a balm to his fears. He remembered their warmth, the family dinners, and the laughter shared over silly memories. In that moment, the realization dawned on him. It didn't matter whether they won or lost. What mattered most was the bond they shared, the love that enveloped them, and the laughter they brought to one another's lives. The lights of the Family Feud stage flickered softly, casting a warm glow over the enthusiastic crowd. Eli, still riding the wave of his unexpected, heartfelt answer, found a newfound confidence bubbling up within him. He stood there, heart racing, surrounded by the bright applause of the audience and the cheers from his family, which felt like an embrace. The game continued, and Eli's family, the Johnsons, moved into the next round. His cousins, Marcus and Rosa, shared excited glances and playful nudges, urging him to think about his answers. This camaraderie transformed their once competitive spirit into a joyful gathering. Eli found himself stealing glances at the audience, soaking in their energy, and drawing strength from their smiles. Meanwhile, Rosa, who was just a year older than Eli, leaned over to him with a playful grin. "Just remember, it's not about the money. It's about having fun and maybe a little bit of fame." She laughed, flicking her hair back like a starlet. "Fun and fame, huh?" Eli replied, his eyes lighting up. He felt a little more at ease with her encouragement, like the pressure was lifting slightly. Marcus, with his usual bravado, shouted out from the sidelines, "You got this, Eli. Just keep it real." His laughter echoed, and suddenly Eli felt a rush of warmth. They weren't just competing, they were making a memory. He thought back to the times they'd all gathered around the TV, watching this very show, and now they were a part of it. As Eli took his place for the next round, the spotlight felt a bit heavier. He couldn't shake the nagging fear that he might stumble, and the stakes were raised even higher as the families competed neck and neck. The scoreboard was tight, and the pressure of the situation weighed heavily on him. "Name something you might see at a family reunion," Steve asked, his eyes sparkling with mischief as he turned to Eli. Eli racked his brain, feeling a brief flashback to past family gatherings. He envisioned long tables adorned with dishes of fried chicken and macaroni, laughter mingling with the sounds of children running around. The memory brought a smile to his face. Kids playing tag?" Eli blurted out, his voice steadier than he anticipated. Steve paused, glancing at the board, and the audience held their breath. A loud ding signaled a correct answer, and the crowd erupted into cheers. Eli's heart swelled with pride. He'd tapped into the spirit of family, a warm undercurrent that ran through their history. Just as he began to relish the moment, a chilling silence enveloped the room as his opponent took the stage. The tension was palpable as the other family deliberated their next move. Eli watched intently, feeling a mix of hope and anxiety. What if they answered incorrectly? The uncertainty loomed large, and Eli's mind danced with worst-case scenarios. "Come on, guys, keep it together," he whispered to himself, knowing that he needed to stay focused. Rosa and Marcus cheered vigorously, reminding him that there was more at stake than just winning. Their bond was far deeper than any game score. Once again, the opposing family's answer was revealed, and cheers erupted from their corner. The scoreboard shifted, and Eli felt a tightening in his chest. For a brief moment, he lost sight of the joy that had initially brought him to the stage. As he stood there, he couldn't help but recall all the laughter shared at family gatherings, the warmth of hugs, and the support that had always surrounded him. Eli closed his eyes briefly, taking a deep breath to calm his racing heart. He remembered Rosa's words, "It's about fun." Determined to shake off the stress, Eli smiled widely, channeling his inner cheerleader. He needed to show his family what mattered most. The love and support they shared were far more important than any game could ever represent. As he stood tall, ready for the next question, Eli felt a renewed sense of purpose and connection. Winning was nice, but family came first. Eli's resolve was tested as the game progressed. The tension in the studio thickened like a storm cloud, causing the air to sizzle with anticipation. The opposing family had pulled ahead on the scoreboard, and Eli's family was feeling the pressure. He watched as Steve Harvey turned to the audience with his signature grin, but the laughter wasn't as carefree anymore. The stakes were rising, and Eli could sense the desperation creeping into his teammates. "Don't lose hope, guys, we can still catch up," he whispered, though his voice quivered slightly. Every member of the opposing team seemed to respond with surprising ease, their answers flowing like water. They had clearly come prepared, while Eli's family relied more on instinct and shared memories. The next question came up. "Name something you might find in a backyard." His heart raced as the other family answered quickly. "A pool." The survey said it was the #1 answer, and cheers erupted from their corner. Eli felt his stomach drop. Not only had they overtaken them in points, but he could sense the crack in his family's confidence. Rosa turned to him and whispered, "Eli, we need this one." Okay, he said, trying to exude confidence he didn't feel. He had to rally his team. "Remember, we've got this. Think about our backyard. What do we have?" Marcus chimed in. "We have bikes, tools, a treehouse." But Eli felt a shadow of doubt. What if those answers didn't match what the surveys had shown? As they deliberated, Eli's mind darted to thoughts of their backyard at home, the laughter, the BBQs, and the endless games of tag. That backyard was a treasure chest of memories, but was it enough for the game? The opposing family opted for another answer, and their laughter became sharper with each correct guess. The scoreboard reflected their growing lead, and Eli felt like they were slowly fading into the background. "Come on, family, think," he urged, his voice rising in desperation. Suddenly Steve turned to Eli, whose anxiety was palpable, and said, "What do you think, buddy? What's your answer?" The spotlight was on him, and it felt like the weight of the world rested on his young shoulders. Eli's thoughts raced. Could he really pull this off? A tree house," he stammered, unsure if he had even managed to speak clearly. The audience went silent, leaning in, waiting for Steve to reveal the answer. Eli bit his lip, trying to suppress a flutter of fear as Steve announced, "Survey says." The buzzer blared, and Eli's heart sank further. "No points there," Steve exclaimed, his smile faltering for just a moment. Eli's family exchanged glances, an unspoken acknowledgement of the rising tension. The opposing family erupted in cheers, and Eli felt the crushing weight of defeat pressing down on him. They were now on the brink of elimination, and the stakes had never felt higher. "Eli, don't be discouraged," Rosa said, offering him a supportive squeeze on the shoulder. "We still have one more chance, and we're all in this together." Eli glanced at her and nodded, but the gnawing doubt persisted. He had wanted to lift them up, but it seemed instead he was pulling them down. The next question loomed just ahead, and Eli's mind was racing. Would he be able to bounce back spectacularly? Would they become the underdogs that made a dramatic comeback? Or would he remain just another kid with a dream, watching victory slip away? As the final round approached, Eli wrestled with emotions that threatened to spill over: anxiety, hope, and an intense desire to show his family that their love was greater than any game. Would he muster the courage to turn the tide, or would this moment become another chapter in a story of missed opportunities? As the final round of the family feud loomed closer, Eli could practically feel the weight of all eyes on him. The audience held their breath, a wave of anticipation washing over the studio. His heart raced in sync with the ticking clock, a constant reminder that time was not on his side. The opposing family was jubilant, and their cheers echoed in Eli's ears, creating a cacophony that only amplified his nervousness. "All right, Eli," Steve Harvey called, a hint of urgency in his voice. "We need you to nail this next one. Just think about what you want to say. Take a breath." Eli nodded, feeling the warmth of encouragement from the host. It was comforting, but also daunting, knowing that he was the last hope for his family. The question flashed on the screen behind them. Name something kids might fear about their parents. An odd mixture of fear and determination surged through Eli. This was a chance to redeem himself, to be the hero he wanted to be for his family. But what would he say? He glanced at his family, who stood behind him, their faces a mixture of hope and anxiety. "Kids might fear," he murmured to himself, his thoughts spiraling. His mind raced through memories. Hadn't he felt fear when he thought about disappointing his parents? They had sacrificed so much for him, always putting his dreams first. A flicker of an idea ignited within him, but he hesitated. What if it wasn't right? What if they laughed? "Eli, you have to answer," Rosa urged gently, sensing his internal battle. Steeling himself, Eli took a deep breath, his eyes fixed on Steve. "I think kids might fear their parents being disappointed in them," he finally admitted, the words tumbling out of his mouth, each syllable weighted with deep-seated emotion. The studio went silent for a moment, a dramatic pause that felt like an eternity. Eli's heart pounded in his chest, and he could feel the heat rising to his cheeks. Steve looked taken aback, his expression shifting from joviality to genuine surprise. It was as if the entire studio had momentarily forgotten they were watching a game show and were instead sharing an intimate moment of vulnerability. "Survey says," Steve declared, breaking the silence. The anticipation peaked, and Eli's heart sank once more as the buzzer sounded again. No points. The realization hit him hard, leaving him feeling exposed and defeated. But then something unexpected happened. The audience erupted in applause, not for the points but for the raw honesty Eli had displayed. Eli stood there bewildered as the realization washed over him. He had spoken a truth that resonated not just with his family, but with many who felt the weight of expectations. "Listen, Eli," Steve said, his voice softening. "That was a brave response. And you know what? It's not just kids who feel that way. It's all of us at some point." A ripple of understanding passed through the crowd. Eli, now realizing the impact of his words, felt a shift within himself. He may have missed the points for the game, but he had struck a chord with the audience, and in doing so, something deep inside him began to heal. As the opposing team celebrated their victory, Eli's family rushed to him, their faces illuminated with pride. "You did amazing, Eli. We're proud of you no matter what," Rosa exclaimed, pulling him into a tight embrace. Eli's heart swelled. He had opened a door to a conversation that went beyond just a game, something that would resonate in their family for years to come. The tension that had previously loomed felt lighter now, replaced with the warmth of connection and understanding. In that moment, Eli realized that sometimes the biggest victories aren't measured in points, but in heart. He had learned that expressing vulnerability could transform fear into strength, and that honesty, even in a game, could bridge gaps far wider than he had anticipated. With newfound clarity guiding him, Eli was ready to face whatever came next, his spirit bereft of the fears that had previously held him back. The game may have ended, but a deeper journey was just beginning. Eli's heart raced as the applause from his family echoed in his ears. He felt a warmth spreading through his chest, a feeling he had never anticipated encountering on a game show. The thrill of having shared his truth mixed with the nervous anticipation of what lay ahead. The game had transitioned from simply winning or losing to something much more profound. Eli had grappled with fear and emerged with a slice of courage, but now he had to face the reality of his vulnerability and its ramifications. As he stepped off the set, Eli noticed the crew busying themselves for the next segment. The excitement was palpable, yet a sense of uncertainty loomed over him. Would his heartfelt answer resonate beyond this moment? Would it change how his family talked about feelings? He felt the weight of these questions pressing down on him, layered beneath the thrill of the game. Steve Harvey, now standing nearby, caught Eli's eye and nodded encouragingly, as if sensing the boy's internal struggle. "Hey, Eli," Steve beckoned him over. "You did something pretty special out there. Just remember, your words have power." Eli nodded, though he didn't fully understand the extent of that power yet. His family was already gathered near the exit, voices buzzing with excitement. Rosa, Eli's older sister, was animatedly trying to recount what had just happened, while his parents exchanged proud glances. It was in this small moment that Eli realized how deeply his family cared about him. "I held my breath the whole time," Rosa exclaimed, throwing her arms around him once more. "You were so brave. That answer, wow." "But we lost," Eli replied, feeling a hint of disappointment creeping in. "I didn't even get the right points." "Winning isn't everything, Eli," their dad chimed in, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "What you said up there, that's what counts. It's going to change how we talk to each other from now on." With each reassuring word, Eli felt the tension inside him slowly unravel. Maybe this would be the start of something new for their family, a safer space to share feelings, to express how they truly felt, and not just what was expected. He pondered the power of vulnerability and its unexpected role in forging stronger connections. As the family stepped outside into the California sun, Eli was struck by a newfound clarity. The bright sunlight felt more vibrant, almost as if it was celebrating with him. They found a small cafe across the street, where they settled in to grab a light meal. The atmosphere was buzzing, families chatting and laughter filling the air. Eli's spirits lifted. Here was a moment of triumph that was not just about a game show, but a celebration of togetherness. Over their sandwiches and fries, the conversation turned deeper. "What would you do if you could ask anything, Eli?" Rosa asked, leaning in with genuine curiosity. Eli took a moment, reflecting on his earlier answer. "I'd probably ask how to get over feeling nervous all the time," he said quietly, glancing at his family. His parents exchanged knowing looks. "Being nervous is normal," his mother said softly. "But you don't have to face it alone. Just like you did today, You can share your feelings any time." Eli was taken aback. It felt cathartic to vocalize his fears, and reassuring to know that his family was prepared to stand by him. The more they talked, the more Eli recognized that vulnerability did not equate to weakness. Rather, it was a bridge to deeper relationships. As they finished their meal, a quiet determination settled in his heart. He wanted to be the voice that pushed his family toward openness, a beacon of hope that allowed them to confront their unspoken fears. Eli left the cafe feeling transformed. He understood that although they had lost the game, they had won something far more significant: the ability to communicate, to express, and to be real with each other without fear of judgment. With every step he took, he felt lighter and filled with purpose, ready to embrace not only the laughter but also the tears that lay ahead, knowing they would face everything together. The game had sparked a conversation that would change the course of their family dynamics, and Eli felt ready to nurture that change. Little did he know that this was merely the beginning of a new journey, one defined by honest dialogue, strength in vulnerability, and the courage to face whatever came next together. Eli stood outside the cafe, the sun beginning to dip below the horizon, casting a warm golden glow over the suburban streets of Atlanta. His heart raced, a mixture of excitement and apprehension coursing through him. The day had evolved in ways he never imagined, transforming what began as a nervous experience on Family Feud into a profound lesson on family and vulnerability. As he walked home, he replayed the moments of the game in his mind, the cheers, the laughter, the unexpected silence that fell when he answered. Every recollection was a reminder of how a simple childhood experience had opened a floodgate of emotions within him and his family. Arriving at his house, he paused and took a deep breath. He was ready. He could feel the weight of his intentions. No more would he hide behind his fears or allow the stigma of vulnerability to overshadow his relationships. He wanted to lead a change, not only for himself, but for his family, who had always stood by him. Inside, the bustling sound of dinner preparations greeted him. His mother was humming softly as she stirred a pot on the stove. The warm smell of home-cooked stew filled the air. It felt comforting and familiar. Eli's siblings were at the dining table, involved in a lively debate over who had the best video game character. "Hey, Eli, you think Mario's better than Sonic?" his sister Mia called out, her playful tone breaking through Eli's concentration. He smiled, but the laughter felt distant for a moment. Taking a seat at the table, he sensed this was the perfect moment to share his newfound perspective. "Guys," he interjected, his voice steady but quiet. They paused, looking at him with curiosity. "Can I talk to you about something serious?" The table went silent, and Eli could feel their eyes on him, a mix of surprise and concern. "Sure, what's up?" his brother Jake replied, leaning in slightly. "I've been thinking a lot about what happened on Family Feud and everything we've talked about lately." Eli took a deep breath, recalling the nervousness that had consumed him before. "I realized that being nervous is okay, but we don't have to pretend to be something we're not, especially not with each other." The tension in the air shifted. His family exchanged glances, their faces softening. "Eli, it's okay to feel nervous," his mother said gently. "We all have our moments. It just shows we care." "Exactly," Eli continued, emboldened by their responses. "And I think we should all be honest about how we feel. Like, really honest. No more hiding behind jokes or putting on a brave face when we're scared, upset, or confused. Let's face these things together." The atmosphere in the room shifted again, an acknowledgement settling among them. "You mean like when Mia feels anxious before a big test?" Jake asked curiously. "Or like when I worry about fitting in at school?" Mia added, her voice more serious than before. "Exactly," Eli said, his heart swelling with pride at their openness. "If we share our fears, there's less weight on our shoulders. We're family. We're supposed to back each other up, right?" Eli could see the understanding in their expressions. They were beginning to grasp the significance of his words. Jake nodded slowly, a thoughtful frown creasing his forehead. "You know, I've always felt pressure to be the funny one, but it gets tiring. I don't always feel like making jokes. Sometimes I just want to chill without pretending I'm someone else." Mia chimed in. "And sometimes I cry before tests because I'm scared of failing. I'd hate to disappoint you guys. Eli smiled, feeling that their bond was strengthening in ways he had hoped. We can be ourselves, even if it means admitting we're not perfect. We can create a safe space to share our worries and help each other find the courage to face them. There was a stillness in the room, a collective realization of the power in vulnerability. The echoes of laughter and debate transformed into a supportive discussion filled with understanding and empowerment. Eli's heart raced with hope as he saw his family transform before his eyes. No longer just a group of individuals carrying burdens alone, they were weaving a tapestry of support and love. "Let's make it a tradition," Eli proposed, his face lighting up with enthusiasm. "Every week we can sit down and share something we're worried about, something that's difficult to talk about. We can help each other." His mother beamed with pride, wiping her hands on a dish towel. "That sounds wonderful, Eli. We can all benefit from being more honest, and we'll grow closer because of it." As they gathered around the table, Eli felt an overwhelming sense of warmth enveloping him. That night, laughter mixed with the sound of heartfelt confessions, and for the first time in a long while, he knew they had taken a pivotal step toward healing, honesty, and strength as a family. As laughter and warmth filled Eli's home, he felt a sense of calm wash over him. The turn of events from the family feud incident had ignited something unexpected within his family, the kind of bond that connected them through shared fears and dreams. That unforgettable answer, which had at first left Steve Harvey speechless, now served as a catalyst for deeper conversations. "Can you believe that kid?" his sister Mia exclaimed, still chuckling. His interpretation of family was completely different, but it made so much sense in a way that's real, you know? Eli nodded thoughtfully. "Yeah, it was like he saw something that none of us think about. Family isn't just about being perfect or wealthy, it's about love and support." The conversation shifted to lighter topics, but the undertone of their new commitment lingered. Initiating a weekly gathering to share their worries became their shared mission. As they cleared their plates, Eli couldn't shake the idea that this ritual could change everything. In the days following, the family embraced their newfound tradition. Each week, they gathered around the table, armed with not only snacks, but also their thoughts and fears. Eli would start the circle, vulnerable yet empowered, sharing his anxieties about school and peers. "I'm worried about fitting in," he admitted one evening, glancing at his family. "Sometimes I feel like I'm just pretending to be someone I'm not." His father, typically reserved, surprised him by speaking up. "You know, I feel that way too. Juggling work and being a provider makes me feel like I'm always on stage, showing a face to the world. It's exhausting." Mia chimed in next. "I cry before tests because I'm scared of failing. I hate the pressure of expectations." This was the beauty of their gathering, the uninhibited truth that flowed freely among them. With each confession, they deconstructed the walls that had kept them apart, building instead a sturdy foundation of emotional resilience. Through sharing, they learned how to support one another in meaningful ways. Time passed, but the transformation was evident. Eli recognized he wasn't just growing, but blossoming as a person. The shy boy who once avoided confrontations now spoke openly about his feelings. Mia found herself thriving under the weight of her vulnerabilities, and their parents became more attentive and understanding. One evening as they sat together, Eli noticed the change between them. "We're stronger together, aren't we?" he said, looking at each family member with bright eyes. His mother smiled warmly. "Absolutely. Each of us has our struggles, but acknowledging them helps us lift one another up." As the weeks turned into months, their family nights became a cherished highlight of their week. It was not just about airing grievances. They began to celebrate achievements and joys too, creating a balanced perspective. Eli started to feel a sense of belonging, not just within his family, but in his own skin. He even made strides in his schoolwork, motivated by the support he received at home. One day, as they prepared for another family night, Eli spotted an old board game they hadn't touched in years. He suggested, "Let's play this after sharing tonight. It'll be fun to reconnect in a different way." Mia's eyes lit up. "Yes, let's reclaim that fun." Later that evening, the living room buzzed with a mix of laughter and competitive spirit as they dove into the game. The earlier weight of worries lifted, replaced by joy and camaraderie. For Eli, it symbolized more than just a game. It was a testament to their journey together, a journey towards vulnerability, authenticity, and unconditional love. As they gathered the board game back into its box, Eli's heart was full. In transforming their fears into strength, they had built a fortress of family around them. This was their new normal, their evolution, happy and real. The emotional journey sparked by that innocent answer on Family Feud had blossomed into something profound. Eli understood now that the heart of a family lies not in the absence of flaws, but in their ability to love one another despite them. So, what did you think of this story? Leave your comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, share with your friends, and don't forget to like. But most importantly, click the hype button. Seriously, this is crucial for the channel to grow and bring more amazing stories like this to you. It only takes a second, but it helps a lot. See you next time.